Well, welcome back everybody to the Super Duty build. It's been a little while since I've been in the hangar working on this airplane because I've had so much other things in life going on, but I do have some time off from work right now and I am trying to spend as much time as I can getting this airplane done. It's so close to being done. I really want to take it over that step and get it to the point where I can start the engine and get this thing on its way to flying. So in this video, I will update you on the ailerons and the cowling. And I think that's pretty much all I've done. Now, if you're just catching up with the channel, one of the things I've done differently with this airplane is I've taken this offset between the inboard flaperon and the outboard out and made these even so that the airplane isn't generally flying with the flaps down a little bit. And so far, I think this is going to work. It seems to work pretty nice. Now, to hook up the ailerons to the push rods inside the airplane there, let's take a look at the plans. Now, this is the push rod inside the fuselage, so this would be the right flaperon here. And you can see this bushing here. That's a bushing, it's maybe 3/4 of an inch in diameter. And I think I have a picture on the screen that I can put up to show you what that looks like. Now, this bushing right here is what moves inside this banana slot that it's called on the side of the fuselage. Now, having that bushing ride inside that banana slot was causing an issue. When I had everything hooked up and I would take the ailerons and move them left and right, when it got towards the limits, I could feel it binding on something. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I checked all of the linkage, and then I looked up at that bushing in that slot. Now, there's really no way you can see this bushing in here because it's up in here, and there's really nowhere I can get the camera to show you, but it's on the other side of this bolt. And what was happening is when you move the ailerons down, it was fine. When they came up towards the top, that bushing was rubbing on that slot. It was rubbing on the edge of the skin here on this banana slot. Now, there's two options you can do to fix that. One is the one that Zenith should correct and actually put this banana slot in the correct position. But since they don't fix that issue, what you can do is you can grind out that slot and make it a little bit larger, and then that bushing won't rub on it. Mine's already painted, and this banana slot is hard to get to now with the ailerons on. As you can see, I can't even get to the top of that. So I chose to do the second option, which is actually the exact same thing that I had to do on my cruiser when I built that. So instead of opening up that banana slot, I took my bushings over to my neighbor's house because he has a lathe, and I machined these down to be smaller in diameter. And I don't know if I ever showed it on a video previously when I was building the cruiser, but this is exactly what I did on the cruiser. I had the same issue. That banana slot really isn't positioned correctly for those big bushings to fit in there. So on my cruiser, I did the exact same thing to these bushings, and then on the Super Duty here, I had to do it again. But you can see the difference in the diameter of these bushings. It works perfectly, and because they are a smaller diameter, they no longer rub on that banana slot. Now you can see the ailerons move nice and smoothly. There's no, if you can see the little push rod up there, there's no binding anywhere. Everything operates nicely. You can see the autopilot servo right back here. That is hooked up. It's connected to the push rod there with a, I had my buddy custom machine this clamp that goes around here, and that control rod just connects to the servo there. Everything works nicely. Now, one thing a lot of people notice is that, again, something Zenith should fix, but for some reason they don't, because it's like this on every airplane. You see that bushing I put in right here? If you don't have that bushing in there, when you lower the flaps, this rod end will bind with this, that plate right there. And I'm going to show you when I bring my flaps down. Okay, now
That bushing, what it does is it brings that rod end further away and it does not bind. You'll need a longer bolt to do that, and you just find some bushings. You could stack some washers in there, I guess, if you wanted to also. But now with that, that bushing in there, nothing binds when the flaps go up and down. So it works pretty nice, but just be aware that you'll need to do that. And yes, I know that nut on there is just a temporary nut.
You will find that if you are building an airplane, it comes in very handy to have a large selection of nuts, bolts, washers, and all kinds of other useful things. Oh, and a little side note, check out this Huey helicopter I got at Oshkosh. I've always wanted to get one of these mahogany models, and this year I finally broke down and bought one. There was a lot of them that I liked, but I love the good old Huey. Now, I happen to get lucky because of all the spacers that I have collected here over time, I had 4 of these ones. They're black nylon, and everything about them was the perfect size. The bolt fit right through the hole, and they were the exact length that I needed that worked just great. So if you ever have things like this and you think you're just gonna throw them away, always just save stuff, because you never know when you're going to need something like that. I never ever thought I would use those, but like I said, they actually worked perfectly. All right, guys, let's talk about this piece of crap cowling that comes from Zenith. If you buy the Zenith Firewall Forward Kit for the Lycoming options, first of all, I recommend you don't buy it, because a lot of the parts that are in there you can source from yourself right from Aircraft Spruce or somewhere else. But there are some things you're going to have to buy, like the cowling and the engine mount and things like that. The problem with the cowling is that it's not manufactured correctly. And I brought this issue up to Zenith, I think it was in May, so it's been months now. And they keep telling me that they were gonna fix it, and I haven't heard a single word from them since May. And I think what they're gonna do, like they do with most issues, they're just going to ignore it. They're gonna keep selling these cowls that don't work, and they're gonna ignore the issue and not fix it. So I've been tired of waiting for them. Roger and Sebastian both told me they're working on it and they're going to fix it. Well, so far, it's been months and I haven't heard a single word about it. So I need to press on with what I have. The issue with the cowling, these 2 parts right here on either side of the spinner, they bow in like this. So if you're looking at your cowling kind of straight through like that, you'll notice this part here is straight, and both of these here, they dip down or they bow down. Now the problem with having it do that is that when you put it on the airplane, both sides here will rub on the starter gear on the front of the engine. If you move the cowling forward enough to where this doesn't hit the gear, then the rest of the cowling will rub on the spinner. So it just doesn't work like this. So again, instead of waiting for Zenith to fix it, I want to press on. So I came up with an idea on how to fix this. And so far, it looks like it worked. So I'm going to show you kind of the jig that I made and what I had to do to fix this cowling. It is fixed now. I think it's going to work. So my next step is to put it on the airplane, get everything fit and secured to the side of the fuselage, or I can drill the holes and put nut plates and stuff like that and get the cowling fit to the airplane. And then I can get all my baffles trimmed and things like that and really start moving forward. So let me show you how I fixed this piece of junk cowl. Now, one of the things that's kind of nice about fiberglass is if you heat it up hot enough, you can usually bend it or distort it a little bit. And that's what I was hoping I could do with this. So here is a jig that I made. About as simple as you can get. I didn't even bother cutting the wood to the right size. But these cross pieces here just sit over the opening, and then this goes across the top. And I have another piece of wood and some clamps. Now with this piece of wood, what I'm gonna do is bring it under here, and I'll show you a close-up here in a minute. I'm gonna take the clamp and I'm just gonna clamp it on there, and then I took this one and clamped it on there. Now, let me show you what that does. You can see that little piece of wood there is on the center here. And you can tighten the clamps, and that will bring this piece of wood up, and what it will do is it will straighten these. Now, what I did was I brought it up enough to where it actually bowed out a little bit, because you know that once you heat it and try to deform it, if you bring it up, it's going to go back. It's going to settle a little bit. So I brought it up further than I needed, and then what I did was I used a heat gun and also a torch, because I don't think the heat gun was getting it quite hot enough. But from the inside, I heated up this whole area, both on the top and bottom, and you can even see some burn marks on here on the outside. But it really didn't damage it too much. There is one little spot right here where I torched the gel coat, which isn't a big deal. I can, you know, this all gets sanded anyway and filled and everything, so that won't be an issue at all. But that's what I had to do. I probably spent about a half an hour on each side just heating up as hot as I could get. And then of course I left it in this jig until it completely cooled. Now I'll take that jig off and show you what it looks like. Now hopefully you'll be able to see this, but if you look across here, you see how flat everything is? It's all nice and even. Now before I did this, if you look at this one here, like I said, it had a really pronounced bow in it. It was well below this area here. It would scoop down. And when I take the camera like this, you can kind of see that everything now looks nice and straight. So when I put this back on the airplane, it should not hit that starter gear. Now before I put that cowling on the airplane, I thought I'd show you this area up front here. I probably showed this in a previous video that I had this fit on here, but what I did was, you can see where I have this cut out now. What you're kind of supposed to do is, you know, obviously this cutout isn't here. The aluminum just goes straight across like that. And you drill 3 holes in here to match this, and it all gets bolted together. The thing I didn't like about that was, if I ever need to change the oil cooler, or let's just say, well, I guess not really oil cooler, but let's say I want to take the baffles off, maybe to repaint them or clean them or whatever, who knows. To do that, you have to take all these bolts out, which removes your oil cooler. And I just didn't want to do that. I kind of wanted to have it separate so that one didn't affect the other. So what I did was I cut this out right here, and what I will do is there's plenty of this black steel goes all the way to here. So there's plenty of room here. I'll probably just put 2 bolts in like this through the black steel, and that will hold everything in place. I can even put one out here. And then there's another bracket that goes down from here. It connects to the cylinder to this black piece. That'll hold it over here. So that'll hold this aluminum securely in position. And if I ever need to take this off or take the baffles off, I don't have to do anything with the oil cooler. I can just remove the couple bolts, and then just like this, it'll be free to remove. So I kind of like that system a little bit better. The next step now is to put the cowling on the airplane. I want to wait until I have 2 people to do that, just because this is kind of big and weird, and I don't want to bang the fuselage and start scratching paint. So once I get some help over here, I'll put this cowling on and get it all adjusted. And then, like I said, I can start trimming the baffles and get everything fit. But before I go, I wanted to remind you guys to visit kitplaneenthusiast.com. We have a lot of really good products there for you if you're building a Zenith. We have fuel, oil, and brake lines that are made from Aircraft Specialty. They are much, much better quality than what you'll get with the Zenith Firewall Forward kit. We have seats available for the Zenith airplanes, and we have all kinds of nice fairings available for the wing struts, the strut to fuselage. I haven't put mine on yet. But we have all kinds of nice fairings available for most of the Zenith airplanes. For you 650 guys, and I think 601 guys, North American Aerospace is just about ready to launch a bunch of fairings for that airplane. They will all be available on kitplaneenthusiast.com. So I just want to encourage you guys to visit the website, see if there's something there you guys like. I make a little bit of money from selling those products, and it really does go to supporting this channel and this airplane. We have a bunch of graphics too. We have stickers that you can get that are all listed on the website, and placards, end numbers, all that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate your guys shopping on the site and supporting it. And that's it for now. We'll see you in the next video.